it's been a little bittersweet with some of this news. I made I guess, poorly timed joke not that long ago saying, they're saying that Punk is old, but what about Asuka? She's up there in age. She's 44. That's like 69 in women years. So, no, but you hear things and you're like, all right, she had so much left to give, but they haven't used her in a great way. I almost want to say kind of ever, but in a long time since she's been really prevalent. She won the Rumble, and then she goes ahead and loses at WrestleMania. And then from there, I feel like she never recovered. She was so unbeatable, it was unheard of at that time that she had a 500+ day title reign streak, an undefeated streak included. And she went ahead and came up to the main roster with this streak. She had to vacate her title back to NXT, and that never happened. That did not take place at that time. Now, a lot of people would then go ahead and leave the title behind, even as recent as Obafemi. But when she did it, it made a statement. You were like, wow, there's no more competition. She's taken out everybody. No one's ready for Asuka. And she wasn't a no-selling, machine. She wasn't a Terminator. She told, for the lack of English and her ability to cut these eloquent promos, she used her body, her facial expressions, the face paints, the character mannerisms, all of it, the gear. She added to all of the conversation with what she was capable of doing in those ropes. And it was incredible at the time to see somebody so strong and powerful on the female side kick so much ass that there's nobody left to face. So we got to move you up. And then eventually they miffed it. They fucked it up. And that happens often. Look at Shinsuke Nakamura. Same year, same thing that they did to him, both WrestleMania 34 for both of them, and they both won the Rumble. Yeah, and he got taken with AJ to Dick Kick City, and that was it for that.
Who convinced Vince to let him win? I'm surprised Vince allowed it.
Yeah, I don't know how Vince ever allowed it, but people backstage are obviously upset that Asuka is seemingly done. From what we heard initially is that Kairi Sane got released in the recent batches, and then it basically brought the angle that they had to an abrupt halt, because it's like, well, what are they going to do now? Are they still going to do the match? Kairi was essentially most of the focal point. Yes, it still worked without her, but I guess they felt like really mysterious. And everybody in the chat, shout out to Coot, Jeremy, Pico, and so many others. Glad to have you all here. And they told Asuka, hey, we're going to keep you to have this match, and then that's it. So they basically held on to her contract long enough. She did not allegedly, she is semi-retired following WWE Backlash. This is coming first from Wrestling Observer. At Backlash, they said that following her loss to Io Sky, and after she lost, she broke down in tears. She hugged her for a long time, to the point where I thought, oh, she's going to attack her. She's going to mist her again, something. And then that was it. Fade to black, commercials. Meltzer says,
posted my way.
Yeah, I did it my way. And that lines up with Kofi and Xavier from the New Day being told that they refused to restructure their deals and now are done with WWE. Meltzer says first, we're going to go through a bunch of different people, but she is semi-retired. They don't know exactly what that means, but people backstage are wishing her goodbye. And they don't know if she's going to Japan and still wrestle. They don't know if it means she can do stuff here and there, but I guess she's semi-retired. Brian Alvarez backed this up and was saying that it sucks. And he's like, I can't fathom why, but it makes it possible, certainly. He said Kyrie was cut and she didn't even get used to the end of this thing. So we've seen people like Io Sky, Nakamura, Rhea, and others tweet out a plethora
They should have
of
just
support
waited for
images.
Kyrie
and-
to so they could have all had one final.
Yeah, they should have had it.
Or,
Yeah, they
together.
should have held on to Kyrie, but apparently TKO is ruthless. And I don't feel like. So here's the
Because
thing.
if Asuka was going to get this goodbye, they should have all had that goodbye together as a trio.
I agree, but they didn't know Asuka was going to leave. I think what happened was TKO came in, allegedly. From everything I've read so far, this is how I see it. TKO came into Triple H's office and said, hey, we need you to cut a plethora of talent that equals this big number. And it was bigger than usual. So, interestingly enough, they're like, I don't want to cut everybody. What can we do to avoid some of the cuts? And so, well, you're overpaying people. They're not wrestling 180 averaged matches a year. Now they're doing the most amount was LA Knight with 70 matches, and most people aren't hitting over 40. So the average is like 36, I think, right now, matches a year, which is insane. It's not even one a week. It's like one every 10 days at this point. Regardless, they managed to offer a restructuring. You pay them less. They're already working less. There's not house shows, yada, yada. They try it. Most people have the right to refuse. But it's weird how they're ever allowed mid-deal, mid-contract.
So are they going
I said this to the enemy
do this
designed
to people
earlier.
like CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, Rhea
They
Ripley,
could do it
Becky
to
Lynch, Liv
anybody.
Morgan?
They were trying to do it to Roman Reigns. Some people are like, oh, The Miz is a forever. He'll never be. Are you kidding me? There is
So you're
no more
saying
WWE lifer.
Who are the top champions? So if you're saying Roman, Cody, Rhea, Liv, the world champions, if they don't agree to the pay cut, they're going to get released too? Is
They
that
could.
how TKO is really going?
Yeah, really. I know that sounds mind-blowingly dumb and impossible, but
You would
it
think
would
all four of
happen.
them are like impossible to be released, no?
You would, but look at what they did to Roman. They took him off all of June once he didn't agree to this restructuring. And then, now he agrees to take a bit of a cut. And then it was just an error. It was an error. He's back in on June now. They knew what they were doing. They're like, well, we're just going to, if you're not going to cut your pay, then we're going to cut your time so that your downside guarantee and blah, 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 blah. They want to recoup what they feel they're not getting out of the talent. No one is irreplaceable.